Mesdames et messieurs, this is your captain speaking. We're now airborne out of Athens, climbing through 12,000 feet on our way to 35,000 feet. Our flight time to Paris will be approximately 3 hours and 25 minutes. We may experience some light turbulence during the climb, but conditions should be smooth once we reach cruising altitude. In Paris, it's currently partly cloudy, about 18 degrees Celsius with light winds. So we are expecting a pleasant arrival. The seatbelt sign will remain on for now. Thank you for flying with Air France.
7 minutes after takeoff, the dream becomes a nightmare. A hijacked airliner, a hostile dictator, and a selection process that feels like a ghost from the darkest chapter of human history. 103 innocent people are now pawns in a global game of Russian roulette. The hijackers have the guns, they have the fuel, and they have the upper hand. But they don't count on one thing: the Israeli Sayeret Matkal. While the politicians debate, the soldiers are already airborne. Their mission? To pull off a miracle on a pitch-black runway. A suicide mission. This is the story of the greatest rescue mission ever attempted. Operation Thunderbolt. 11:30 a.m., June 27th, 1976. It's a warm summer morning in Athens, Greece. Air France Flight 139 touches down at Ellinikon Airport. It's a routine stop on a long journey from Tel Aviv to Paris. In Athens, airport security is a mere formality. Metal detectors often sit unmanned. And to make matters worse, today, the guard at the X-ray station is focused on everything except his screen. It's a fatal oversight, one that allows a group of people to pass through the gates, their bags hiding the very weapons that will soon turn Flight 139 into a living hell. When the doors open, 38 people step off and 58 new faces step in. Among the 248 passengers and crew members now on board are Norman Leora Shalev. He is 23 and she's 22. They're newlyweds. It's been barely a week since their wedding. They're headed to Paris for their honeymoon. They lean in close, whispering about the cafes they'll visit and the streets of Montmartre, unaware that in exactly 7 minutes, their dream will become a nightmare.
This is Senor Garcia. This flight has been commandeered by the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine.
Noam freezes. His hand tightens around Leora's. In that instant, the excitement vanishes, replaced by a terrifying realization: they might never see their families again. The voice on the intercom belongs to Wilfred Boozy, a German radical operating under the alias Senor Garcia. Having stormed the cockpit, Boozy now stands over Captain Michal Baku, his weapon firmly pressed against the pilot's head.
"Turn this plane around,"
he commands,
"and follow my orders."
But Boozy isn't acting alone. He's flanked by 3 accomplices: Brigitta Kuhlmann, a fellow German, and 2 Palestinians, Jael Al-Ajjar and Fayez Abdul Ramin Al-Jabbar. The 2 Germans are high-ranking operatives of the Revolutionary Cells, while the Palestinians represent the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, both designated terrorist organizations by the United States and her allies. Armed with pistols and hand grenades smuggled past security, they carry something far more lethal: a cold, calculated hatred towards Jews. As the plane is forced to change course, a terrifying order echoes through the cabin:
"Passports and IDs, now."
Noam feels his blood run cold, his military ID still tucked inside his shirt pocket. If they find it, he's dead. In a desperate act of survival, he slips his ID out, and he and Leora chew it to a pulp. They hide the remains in an empty cola can moments before the hijackers reach their row. They have cleared the first hurdle, but the destination remains a mystery. Back in Tel Aviv, the silence is deafening. Israeli intelligence watches as Flight 139 drifts off course. In an era already scarred by a wave of air piracy, the government doesn't need a formal ransom note to know what's happening. They have a grim hunch based on painful experience. The what was clear. The where remains a terrifying mystery. Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin is immediately briefed on the situation. But while he and his cabinet scramble for answers, Flight 139 touches down in Benghazi, Libya. With the plane baking on the runway, the heat is unbearable. The air inside is thick with fear. Every breath heavy, every second stretched thin. Suddenly, a woman cries out, clutching her stomach and gasping in agony. She's suffering a miscarriage. She needs urgent medical help. And for a fleeting moment, the hijackers hesitate. Finally, they agree to let her go. But the hijackers have been played. The entire ordeal is a desperate ruse. Before launching into her performance, she cut herself to mimic the appearance of a medical emergency. They fell for it. Her name is Patricia Martel, a British-born Israeli citizen. The moment she's released, she makes her way to London and gets in touch with British and Israeli intelligence. She provides detailed descriptions of the hijackers, their weapons, and how many they were. That information later proved crucial to the rescue mission. Flight 139 remains on the tarmac for 7 long hours before it's finally refueled. As the engines roll back to life, a wave of dread washes over the hostages. They are leaving Libya, but they aren't heading home. Instead, they are soaring toward a nation that was once Israel's closest ally in Africa, now transformed into a bitter enemy. Their destination is Uganda. To understand why the hijackers chose Uganda, we have to look at a friendship that began in hope and ended in a cold-blooded betrayal. In the 60s, Israel and Uganda were allies. Israel built their roads, trained their army, and even mentored a young officer named Idi Amin. But by 1971, Amin had seized power. He wanted 2 things Israel wouldn't give: his massive debts erased and a fleet of fighter jets. When Israel said no, Amin flipped. He expelled every Israeli national from Uganda and found a new benefactor: Libya's Muammar Gaddafi. The price? Total loyalty to the anti-Israel cause. The hijackers knew this. Amin was a sympathizer. He grants permission for Flight 139 to land in Uganda. As the plane taxis across the runway, Noam looks out the window. He sees rows of Ugandan soldiers. For a split second, he's hopeful. Are they here to save us? But then a motorcade pulls up and Idi Amin steps out, smiling and waving to the hijackers like they're heroes. The illusion shatters instantly. The soldiers aren't rescuers. They're the prison guards. The hostages are marched into the old terminal building. It's hot, echoing, and terrifying. The hijackers make their demands. 53 terrorists released from prisons in Israel and around the world. A $5 million ransom for the return of the French airliner. And a deadline of July 1st. The ultimatum is clear. If Israel refuses to comply, the hostages die. But then, something happens that chills Noam to his core. A sequence of events that feels like a ghost rising from history. The hijackers begin the terrifying process of separation, pulling Israelis and Jewish passengers aside while the others are released. For Noam, this is no longer just a hijacking. His grandfather survived the horrors of the Holocaust, and now, decades later, he finds himself trapped in the exact same nightmare. He grips Leora's hand, thinking this is the end. As 148 non-Israeli hostages are flown to safety, the world sees Amin play the peaceful mediator. But Israel knows better, and behind closed doors, they begin to plot. With the deadline looming, Prime Minister Rabin and his cabinet are conflicted. The room is split. Defense Minister Shimon Peres wants to fight, but Rabin is more cautious, haunted by the past. The 1972 Munich massacre is fresh in everyone's mind, and a failed rescue attempt now would mean a national catastrophe. But then, intelligence begins to trickle in. The Mossad realizes something unbelievable. The very terminal where the hostages are held was built by an Israeli company, Solel Boneh. Within hours, they have the blueprints. Every door, every corridor, every hidden corner. They can now see inside the terminal without ever setting foot in Uganda. But one question still remains. How do they get inside? One general suggests a water landing in Lake Victoria. However, there's one problem. The lake is infested with crocodiles. This would complicate the logistics of the mission. They need a plan so incredibly bold that the hijackers won't see it coming. Israeli military planners decide to fly 4 C-130 Hercules planes under the cover of darkness straight to Uganda. The lead plane would contain a black Mercedes-Benz, the perfect replica of Idi Amin's vehicle. The goal is to trick the Ugandan guards into believing the president has arrived for a surprise visit, buying the commandos precious time. The stakes are absolute. Landing, assault, extraction, and takeoff must all happen within a 90-minute window. Prime Minister Rabin knows that if the mission fails, his leadership is doomed. He approves the operation, but quietly prepares his letter of resignation. While the elite Sayeret Matkal unit trains on a full-scale replica of the terminal, Israel makes a stunning public move. 30 minutes before the deadline, they announce they're willing to negotiate. The hijackers take the bait. They extend the deadline by 3 days. It's the greatest bluff in military history. And the clock is officially ticking. July 3rd, 1976, 3:30 p.m. 4 C-130 Hercules aircraft lift off a secret runway in the Sinai Peninsula. They're flying thousands of miles into the heart of Africa. One plane carries the commandos and the decoy. 2 carry heavy weaponry. The 4th remains empty. It's a 40-ton waiting room for the hostages they hope to bring home. 11:01 p.m. Entebbe Airport, Uganda. Hercules 1 touches down in total darkness. Hercules 2, 3 and 4 would follow shortly. No runway lights, no radio contact. The ramp drops and the black Mercedes rolls out into the humid night. The fate of 100 lives is riding in that car. They're yards away from the terminal when a Ugandan soldier steps into the road. He levels his rifle. He's confused. He knows Idi Amin recently switched to a white Mercedes. The bluff is dead.
Go, go, go!
The commandos open fire. The silence is shattered by the roar of engines and the rattle of machine guns. Inside the terminal, Noam hits the floor as glass sprays over the hostages. Suddenly, he hears voices through the smoke, shouting in Hebrew and English.
Stay down! Stay down! We're Israeli soldiers!
Meanwhile, paratroopers systematically destroy Uganda's fleet of MiG fighter jets to prevent a chase. The rescue mission is in full swing. But as the hostages are led toward the waiting planes, a single shot rings out. A Ugandan sniper, Lieutenant Colonel Yonatan Netanyahu, the mission leader, collapses. His men rush to him, but sadly, the wound is fatal. 58 minutes, that's all it took. In under an hour, the hijackers are dead, the Ugandan resistance is neutralized, and the hostages are airborne. The mood on the flight home is bittersweet. They've pulled off the impossible, but they've lost their commander. Yonatan's death would change history, inspiring his younger brother, Benjamin Netanyahu, to enter politics. The world woke up to a miracle, and Idi Amin woke up to a humiliation he couldn't endure. But Amin was a man who didn't take defeat lightly. And for those left behind, the nightmare was only beginning. While the world celebrated the miracle at Entebbe, Idi Amin was halfway across the continent, handing over a diplomatic chairmanship in Mauritius. When the news reached him, he was furious. He didn't just blame Israel. He blamed Kenya for allowing the rescue planes to refuel on their soil. His retaliation was swift and monstrous. Amin ordered the execution of over 200 Kenyans living in Uganda. Additionally, he turned his wrath to a 74-year-old Dora Bloch, an elderly Israeli hostage who had been taken to a local hospital before the raid. Allegedly, on Amin's orders, she was dragged from the hospital and murdered in cold blood. It would take 3 more years of bloodshed before Amin's reign of terror finally collapsed. Back in Israel, the mission was officially renamed Operation Yonatan. The sacrifice of Lieutenant Colonel Yonatan became a national symbol of the refusal to ever again let Jewish lives be selected and discarded. While our characters, Norman Leora, were the lens through which we saw this nightmare, their fear was real for every soul on that flight. One survivor later captured the haunting weight of that night. She said, "All these years I didn't understand the Holocaust. Why did people go like sheep to the slaughter when they had nothing left to lose? I needed the nightmare at Entebbe to understand. It's so easy to deceive people who want so desperately to leave." Operation Yonatan wasn't just a tactical masterpiece. It was a reminder of the thin line between survival and catastrophe. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Till next time, this is Vantage.